Okie dokie artichoke, everybody. Welcome to Planet New Jersey, New Jersey's favorite business podcast. We are the podcast of NJBIA. And you can find us wherever you find your favorite podcast, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the fabulous spots. And before we get started, of course, we want to thank our fabulous sponsors, New Jersey manufacturers, for all your great insurance needs. No jingles, no mascots, just fabulous insurance. Okay, so let's get down to it. Today, of course, with me as always is the two amigos, Vinny Civitello and Randy Stevens by my side. And our very special guest stars today is Gerard, Dimino, and Hayley Mayer from Prager Metis. And they're going to give us all the excellent info that we need on home services and taxes and everyring. So welcome, you guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So we're going to jump in with our icebreaker, and it's just what everybody's talking about. And the fact that we have no rain is bananas. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on this, anything you're doing differently. Like I was reading that an average rainfall in New Jersey for October is a little over 4 inches. And so far it's been 0.02% rain for this month. It's like I think it's the longest drought in 120 years in New Jersey history.
You know what's going to happen, because this show doesn't come out for like another week or so after we're filming this, like maybe even a week and a half. Like we're going to have like the biggest hurricane. It's going to be like Sandy 2. And people are going to be like, what are you talking about? Wishing there was rain.
It's
going to be like mudslides, right?
I broke the law last night and definitely had my fire pit going. It wasn't until after Chantel and the kids came out where she was like, hey, you weren't supposed to be doing that. I'm like, yeah, it's a little too late right now.
We cut that part out.
CCTV. No one...
I feel even worse. I get to golf every weekend with no rain.
Well, is there a point at which the grass becomes ingolfable?
So, during the winter, they don't water the greens.
Mm-hmm.
So the grass they'll maintain themselves. So, but still, they've been watering the fairways and the greens. But from a golfing perspective, I mean, it hasn't rained in any weekend over 6-7 weekends.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're also not allowed to water now. They said there's like a shortage of water, so you're not supposed to be watering. That was on the news last night.
Yeah, like the reservoirs have gone down to like 50%. Like it's pretty bananas. And I wonder, I don't know if this is why, but it seems like the leaves have been kind of clinging to the trees a little longer than usual, maybe because it hasn't rained. I don't know if that like helps them fall down, but they still are pretty. Like you drive down, the Parkway, and you still see a lot of the colors that are, by this point, I feel like most of them are gone.
I don't know. I still have a billion leaves both on the trees and on the ground around my house. So
yeah, I have a
Gerard,
billion.
where are you guys located in Jersey? What part of Jersey? If you guys are both in Jersey, actually, we'll start there.
I am not in Jersey. I'm in New York.
Well, we heard that they've got the drought too, right? Do you have it going?
I have the drought. I'm not very far from Jersey, about 22
You're in the
minutes.
club. You're in the drought club.
The drought club.
And my whole lawn is brown, and it's not really doing well, but we'll get there, I hope. Fingers crossed. I think they said rain Thursday, right? We gotta hope.
Thursday and Friday.
We got to pray.
This is the dream for me. I wonder if it can not rain so long that just all the grass on my lawn dies and I don't have to mow it. Maybe like ever again.
I don't know. My daughter's soccer season is over, and I always pray it doesn't rain during soccer season because you're drenched with her. But it's over now. We're going indoors, so it can rain. Let it go.
Right, except for poor Gerard with his golf.
Yeah, it's been wonderful every weekend rain, but that's of course the reservoir levels are extremely low, kind of scary low.
Yeah, I saw. I don't remember the name of the reservoir, but there was a story on NJ.com just last night.
Yeah,
they were showing the two trees coming out of it normally, and then it looked post-apocalyptic in the current picture. So.
Yeah, it was
no. But I mean, like it's it's an effort of futility. So I live in Asbury Park, and our streets are we don't have big yards. We have really small yards, and not a million trees, but the trees we have are just shedding crazy leaves. We have cypress trees, and so couple hours it took me to just, and we have a tiny little, sidewalk area, but hours to just bag up all the leaves. And then 2 days later, there's like snow drifts everywhere. And I was just like, forget it.
Hey, Vinny, was it the Manasquan Reservoir? Was that it? The article?
That sounds right, actually. Yeah, I just remember these 2 trees sticking out of the water, and then they showed the same exact 2 trees now, and there was no water around them. It was just, it was sad.
Wow.
Yeah, it's odd. It's like at first it's awesome because, like you said, Gerard, it's been lovely. It's just been beautiful every weekend or out and about, and it's just wonderful. And then it's just gets you a little nerve-wracked.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hopefully, if everybody listens to this in a week and a half and there's loads of rain, then we're good. Everybody do
I mean, at that point, you have us to thank for it, because we're the ones that, I don't know, quote, jinxed it by saying that at the point where this comes out, we're still in this drought.
Right. We're bringing this to the people. No one's talking about it.
Yeah.
Just us.
It's the real world impact our show is having every week.
You know what's going to happen? It's going to rain on the Macy's Day Parade. It's been so dry.
No. That's when the weather is crazy. And the people are holding on and the wind is coming and you like see those big balloons.
I feel bad for them.
I know. So, before we start, has anybody ever actually been to the Macy's Day Parade live? You guys ever braved it? You have?
Yeah, we actually had a client last year that had a balloon in it. So yeah, they branded the company with a cool cat balloon. It was pretty cool. And they got like a section to sit in like outside. It was pretty cool. It was a good time.
Oh, it must have been amazing. I mean, it must have just been so cool to be there. I forget, what was the weather like last year? Was it too cold?
No, it was nice.
Oh,
it was really nice. I couldn't even turn on my fireplace last Thanksgiving. It was so nice.
Oh,
I don't know what it is. I can't stand parades. Like, it's, you stand in one place for hours and, there's just people walking by with balloons. Like, I've never gotten the appeal. I don't know what it is, but
you're a party poop.
I was gonna say, don't tell your daughter that, Vin. Come on.
I love parades.
Yeah, you can throw it on the background, like on the TV, and just like have that playing while you do other stuff. But I can't keep my focus on just people marching down the street for 3 hours.
Hayley, that's another one of Vinny's senior moments he was talking about pre-show.
He doesn't appreciate the little things that don't cost us money to watch.
You know what it is? I'm like flat and wide-footed, and so just standing up in one place for 3 hours is just the worst. I don't know. So whatever you're doing, that's like I have to stand up and watch the whole time. It better be really entertaining. And I mean, I haven't seen
your job when you're working the cameras for us at events.
That's not 3 hours. Okay, yes, but I get a chair when we do that. Yeah. Maybe if I could bring a chair to the parade, I'd like it a lot more.
There's in the song, I love a parade. Someone's like, I don't care for a parade.
I'll write one. I can speak to the other side of the fence, All
right, so the curmudgeon corner is over. And for family parades brings us right into some family office services from Prager Metis.
Transition case.
Can transfer right to. Can you guys tell us a little bit about that?
Gerard, you can start.
Yeah, so Prager Metis office is family office services, and basically, there's a couple of core services that we provide. We provide estate and wealth planning. We provide financial and income tax planning. Consolidated reporting, personal accounting solutions, administrative services, and basically we try to put them all together to help our clients pass their wealth from generation 1 to generation 2 to generation 3. So that's what we try to do.
And how do you get how do you find your clients? I mean, do you have a lot of clients that are word of mouth? Do people just reach out? Or are people already kind of in the know? Or do you have a lot of people that have never done this before?
So that's a good question. It varies. It varies. We don't do a lot of promoting this type of business. It does work better word of mouth. There could be a couple of eureka moments, and there could be a couple of situations where a person that was really involved has moved on, and there's no one really available to take over that role. So, and we just step in and, as there's been a lot of wealth growth in the past several decades, and these functions have become overwhelming to the normal person.
Gerard, I've got a couple questions just based off of your intro there. So, number one is consolidated reporting. Can you explain that? Because when you think about like just kind of it doesn't seem, at least for me from the outside, that it would be like family wealth planning. It kind of seems more commercial, I guess, for lack of better words. But can you just go in a little bit in depth about what that is?
So, as people have generated more wealth, they've spread it all through equity deployments, alternative investments, private businesses, collectibles, real estate. So how do you see all of it? How do you provide to your advisors a good picture of what you're worth at any one given point of time? And through these data aggregation softwares, not only do we provide a fantastic roadmap, it also allows for performance, to look at performance, to basically gauge what other people have been doing against the market or against other advisors. So that's a really big tool that we use. And due to the fact that the wealth has grown substantially, this is a great way to put it on a very, sophisticated software platform.
Makes a lot of sense. And then I guess another thing that pops up when you first started talking is, and I guess it may piggyback off of Casey's question a little bit. When you start talking about wealth and family planning, is there a certain tax bracket that people, hit a certain dollar amount and start kind of having these questions, or is it like, I don't, any you can start say, hey, we want to just try to start putting some things in place, like, and forgive me if that, it's not a good question.
Yeah,
but.
There's no particular amount, but when you get there, you'll know it.
We're almost there, Randy.
Yeah,
I think. After our last,
you will know it. You'll know when you get there. So like I said, there are a couple of eureka moments, or with the huge upswing in the markets, Randy. It's been a lot of people have been creating and maintaining a lot of wealth. So there's a lot of need for what we do now because it's just overwhelming. And like I said, you'll know when you get there.
So is it, and I'm ignorant of a lot of this. Is this the same as helping set up trusts? Are you setting up trusts for people?
Yeah, well, that goes hand in hand with passing assets through generation 1, generation 2, to generation 3. Then definitely involves, trust planning. And remember, it's not what you have, it's what you keep after you die, or you're able to pass on to your beneficiaries, your heirs. So trust planning is an integral part of the whole wealth management process.
Okay.
It's interesting too, because and Gerard, you said that it's been like a big accumulation of wealth in recent years. There's some articles over the last couple of weeks that I've read about millennials kind of being like that age bracket where a lot of that wealth is being accumulated. Are you guys finding that to be true, or is that just kind of some clickbait stuff out there?
It depends. I mean, a lot of these people that have equity positions, if they're poorly concentrated in one area, they really don't need us.
Gotcha.
It's simple. So yeah, there is a big run up in one position. That's not the kind of client that we're looking for. We're looking for a client that is more mature, so to speak, and has a lot more investments and needs a lot more hand-holding.
Gotcha.
Right. It looks like, I mean, it already sounds complicated to me. It already sounds. So, I mean, when you get
you have
to
friends now, Case, you have friends that can help us out in this category.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God. 'Cause I can't do it all myself. But so with all of these, I guess, different areas where you're creating your wealth, where you're housing your wealth, and then you have all of these taxes and the tax compliance, and the planning after taxes or how to plan for taxes, I'm sure is also, I mean, is that its own part? Is that like a separate part, or does that go with the whole family planning package?
That's one of the core services, basically, is the tax compliance and the tax consequences of not only regular income tax planning, but estate tax planning. We have a lot of exposure with working with advisors for estate tax planning through the use of trust, as you just mentioned, and also foundations. We have a lot of experience with not-for-profits and how you can implement that type of entity into your estate tax plan. So we've had a lot of experience with that as well.
Yeah, I can imagine And so just remind me, Prager Metis, are you nationwide? Are you regional?
We are
We're
nationwide.
globally.
Yeah, global.
You're
We have a
global.
London office. We have an office in Chennai. We have a like satellite office in Italy where somebody is there half the year. So
Nice.
yeah. And I mean, we have 3 offices out in California. We're in Florida. All
You ever just
over.
find an excuse to have to go to the Italy office to be like, I have this real need, to speak with so and so. It's got to be in person. It's sensitive information.
Andiamo.
Wet signatures only, then. Wet signatures only.
So, I mean, the clients ask us to like, oh, if you're ever in, come visit or come see us or whatever. So, unlike Gerard, I handle the business aspect of it. So we do handholding in businesses,
Nice.
startups or companies that are looking to grow, have investors is probably the biggest thing, and we also do non-for-profits here in the States. But we do in-house outsourced bookkeeping, and controller services. And then from there, we also have a division at Prager that could do outsourced CFO services. So there's 2 different sections. I run the client accounting service department. We do have a lot of foreign entities. So like you were saying, like people in Italy and London, that are breaking into the US to do businesses. So what works out nice is they don't know the US tax law, right? So they're coming in instead of hiring a random bookkeeper and controller to do the work. Why not go to an accounting firm that knows everything in one package? And since COVID, we're actually the largest growing department in accounting firms is client accounting service. And the reason
Nice.
for that is you don't need a bookkeeper to come to you anymore. So the people that had one coming 1 day, 2 days, 3 days a week, what's the point of them coming? You're not even in the office, most people anymore, right? So why not trust your accountant or a big accounting firm that knows, where things go, where it needs to be placed, what's the best way to go. And it's just picked up steam going forward. So.
And Hayley, with that being said, like Casey introduced kind of your tax compliance, and regulations and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to try to ask this question, I guess, walk this line pretty tightly here. But with this, the change in administration that coming, like, are you guys preparing for anything changes or things that you have to be alert to, coming down the pike over the next couple months?
So our tax department is always updating with the alerts, and we have tax meetings, and we call them tax lunch fun things. And we sign in, and our tax department will go over all the new changes. There's a big change right now that everybody has to do this FinCEN form before the end of the year. So we're notifying our clients like everything that has to go on and what has to be done and who they could contact or who they should go through or
Nice.
and trying to keep them updated as we're going. So my department actually only would do like a sales tax.
Okay.
And then we team up with a tax partner at Prager who could handle and work side by side. So they know they're getting a clean set of books, and then it gets handed off to our tax department. So compliance is a big thing here at Prager, and making sure we have the right people doing the right forms, and especially like on international, there's a lot of forms and compliance that could cause a lot of penalties.
What kinds of companies are you servicing?
We have real estate investment firms. We have a lot of non-for-profits. We have bakeries, restaurants, bars in the city. We have wholesale medical distributors. Clothing companies, wholesale. That's really where we are right now. But I mean, at one point we had sleepaway camps, so we're open to anything. It's always interesting finding, a new business that changes and see what goes on and learn the books and learn the way. So.
Do you find that it skews in any direction, like more small businesses versus large? Like I imagine it would be more smaller, but who knows?
I don't think so. I think the easiest client to pick up is a non-for-profit, and somebody would ask why, because there's so much compliance and there's always an audit, like regulation, and keeping them compliant and their documents audit ready is something we strive on here, obviously, as an accounting firm. So that's the easiest. I would say no, there's no business too large. It just depends like what somebody is looking for, right?
Yeah.
If you get like to a certain point, do you want to pay a premium for an accounting firm to do it or have it in-house like 2 or 3 staff, right? So it just depends. But I do have like some people that they're lifers. They've been with me 22 years. So no matter how big, I mean, one of them's over $120 million in sales a year. So
Wow.
I think there's a lot of folks who are not in the kind of financial industries or financial services who, are kind of weary and leery about which way to go and who to work with. But it's good to know, not that Casey and I have had our eureka moment yet, Gerard, but it's good to know that you guys are.
Not
Not
yet.
Oh, yeah,
Not yet.
Casey, right?
Right.
He left me out because I've had my eureka moment. Though.
But it's good to know that Prager is kind of proactive about things like you said, audit ready, and then about the taxes and compliance and things that day versus, working with an organization who's more so reacting to something. I think that brings a little bit comfort positively to people who are working with you guys, I'm sure.
And one of these advantages is the data aggregation software is that if there are new rules coming down the road and we're ready to act, and we can see
Nice.
how it's going to impact our clients immediately and see if we have to do anything. So there's always lots of rumors, but you still have to be prepared. You just can't, you got to keep your powder dry just in case you need to pull the trigger to make a change, to take advantage or to do some planning to basically alleviate some of the estate tax concerns that may come up. There's some big provisions coming up in the next year that are sunsetting. That means they're ending. So there should be a lot of planning moments for our clients.
What is the timeout for planning? Like, there's going to be these new rules coming into play and I mean, how far ahead should you be aware of this kind of compliance measure or what have you? Like, are there fines if you are not compliant? Do you find that you have to deal with fines if people are not compliant for whatever reason? Are there fines that they have to be aware of as well?
With the new Corporate Transparency Act, there are significant fines for not reporting foreign investments and the ownership of certain LLCs and organizations. So they've had over a year to plan this and to fulfill their requirements. And should they don't, the fines are in thousands of dollars. So, but they've always given ample time. So they're not just going to throw it on you. And even with the sunset provisions, the upcoming tax rules, that's going to happen next year. It's not going to happen this year. So there's still time to plan.
Right.
Wow. Makes me think about, and I guess when BIA was working with the CBT kind of sunsetting we had in Jersey then, right? Like how long we were behind that and all that, the information we were putting out about that. So just can't imagine that on a global scale, right? All the different regions and areas you guys are responsible for sharing that information with. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest questions we have recently at our conferences and these major tax conferences is international exposure, and there's a lot of interest, and it's a very complex field with a lot of moving pieces. So international is very difficult. It's there that we do have a nice team in place, but it is complicated, and I will leave that to the experts because there's just too many.
Exactly, and the fines are hefty.
Yes.
Wow.
So, so when just going through some of it, because there's quite a lot. Like if I were a business and say I had, I don't know, 200 employees, right? I'm new. I wouldn't, talking about the business side of things, right? So just the business side, there's so many different laws, tax law, and I was brand new. I went to you. Would it be taken like from soup to nuts, like the administrative, into the compliance, into the reporting, that the whole soup to nuts kind of ball game?
So here in CAS, we do more of the reporting part of what you're asking. There would be a tax partner that would do the compliance and the regulations and the filings, and they would keep you alert, and I'm on those emails or my team's on those emails, but they're really making you inform of, this form is due, whatever, December 31st. If you need us to do it, call now or here, advise that it's done. We always try to get a confirmation that the client has done what we're asking. But that's how we work together. So, and it's the same thing. Like if Gerard had somebody who owned a business, I would probably do the business part. We would work together because the owner would probably get paid from the business. So he would know what's going on. So we kind of all work in little teams here. even though we're a big firm, and we all know like the right people to go to. Even like Gerard said, he wouldn't answer the international question. I wouldn't either. But we have a department with partners who know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we try to stay in our lanes. You know, and more the personal, the trust estate side, where Hayley will definitely, stay on the business side. So we do it to stay in our lanes, and that way, and we work together. We communicate well, and we work as a team.
It's just,
Wow,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's just a world that I know so little about.
After today, though, that's going
after
up.
today.
Very good.
I know.
for
I'm
all
like,
of you
futures are
guys.
coming in. Oh, sorry, Vinny. What were you gonna say?
I was going to ask. I mean, I guess going maybe the other way. So when you have an accountant or a financial, like a CFO in the building, you can go to them whenever you want and ask, like, how are we doing with this? How are we doing with that? Is there a way that your clients are able to track that kind of stuff without necessarily, picking up the phone and being like, hey, can you come to Italy for
Yeah, so
It can be on the Italy.
our books are totally open. They're live as they're going on, the way that we're working. So some people pay for certain days of the week. We do very different packages based on what they want to pay. But I mean, if we have somebody who wants live books 5 days a week, we do have that package even. And then the CFO over in Italy or the owner goes in themselves. Somebody called me this morning and basically told me they had a question on something that hit the bank. Honestly, I didn't know what hit the bank either, because if they don't know, how do I know? But we had to call the bank and ask the question. And, it was good because they're in real time. And questions are so much better getting in real time than like 3 months, 120 days later when nobody has a clue what's going on. So, but, there's no secret to the work we're doing, right? You need to work hand in hand. So we want them to see everything that's going on.
Are there certain softwares that the average company might already have that you guys are interfacing with, or do you use totally different things?
So we've been 100% cloud-based prior to COVID, which was one of our things. We did not want to be paper-driven, especially with like bills, receipts.
Yeah.
So we use QuickBooks Online and Xero and Entrata as our financial software. We use for combined financials a program called Fathom HQ. So like if you own multiple LLCs and you want to see one report with all the LLCs put together, we could combine financial reporting. We could do KPIs in there. And then for the solution, so we're audit compliant, we chose to go with Bill.com. And it basically, you could invoice the client could pay in there via ACH or credit card or wire. And we could pay bills out the same way, so to vendors. So it's really nice because we try not to send any checks anymore. Snail mail always gets lost. So we try to favor people to send it, like getting their ACH information. The other thing is risk management. So the good part about Bill.com is anyone can go in, set up their own account for their ACH. I never need to see their banking information. Their bank changes, they can change it themselves. And they're kind of regulating that they get notified that they got paid. Hits like within 24 hours. And they're also in control of seeing, full disclosure, like what invoices got paid on their side. You missed this invoice. I didn't have it, So it also speeds up some of the back office time.
And Gerard, would you say it's kind of the same thing on the wealth planning side, or I could also see how maybe not. Like, it's sort of like with my 401 and everything, it's sort of like do it and let it go.
Yes. So what we do is we take those deployed capital accounts and we'll integrate them in something we call Black Diamond. It's the data aggregation software. It's its own software, and we get to utilize that with all of your custodian links. So a little different than what CAS does, but this is basically for the individual that requires to see where all their assets are and to see what type of performance they're doing on a daily or a weekly basis. And then it provides real-time asset view, which is really nice.
I wonder, right? So I'm assuming when you talk about financial industry and especially big dollar organizations and opportunities, there's definitely probably some shady organizations and companies out there. But is there anything that separates, and you might be able to speak to it differently, but is there anything that separates kind of Prager in terms of like that good to great, something that you guys do or all for, or a way that you do it that's different than some of the other organizations that are out there?
We don't get involved with anything like that. I have no clue. That's our clients are basically high end and traditionally very have lots of integrity. So I'm not worried about that.
So
Yeah.
if anybody, so everybody who's listening to our podcast is going to be like, oh my God, I have to get my wealth management in order.
Eureka moment, Stacey.
Right?
Yes.
The eureka moment. How do you suggest? Can people reach out to you directly, or do they go to the Prager Metis website? Like, how do you suggest people reach out to you if they have further questions, or they find this really interesting and say, like, this is actually something I could use for my business or for myself?
Yeah, they can reach out to me directly. I answer my own calls, my own emails.
Nice.
So yeah. So Dimino at pragermetis.com, and love to hear from them.
All right. And Hayley, you're the same?
Yeah, they can reach out directly. I do suggest going on the website. If you search me and go in, you'll see the whole write up on client accounting services. I think it gives a little insight to show, if we're really what they are looking for in more detail. Obviously, this is only like a 30-minute show, so we can't go into everything. But they're free to, email me, hmayer@pragermetis.com. And looking forward to hearing from people. I hope they learned a lot on the show too. So.
Well,
I know I did.
mean, I know. I didn't think about this.
Ben's directing all his questions to the Italy office. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I like Randy said, I need that wet signature.
You're right there.
That's right. I need that handshake. Is there anything else that Gerard or Hayley that you wanted to bring up that maybe I missed, or anything else you want the folks to know about?
No, thank you for the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, it's our pleasure, completely.
Great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on Planet New Jersey. And we want to thank everybody for listening. And
we want to thank NJM.
And we want to thank NJM as always. Thank you, NJM. You're fabulous. And so we want to say goodnight and thank you so much. Until next time. Big dating game kiss. Mwah.